Oh, this is so tight. I'm even debating changing it. No, sixth. And it's going to be so tight once again. Trust me, it's going to be 3 points separating third to sixth. I've gone with them finishing fourth. I feel like once again they'll fall there as a victim of circumstance. I feel like they'll be better than a fourth place team. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very tempted to switch them. I'm very tempted to put them higher, but hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the 2 Foot Tackle podcast. I'm your host, Ari Stamatakos. This is episode 2 of the new season. Thank you all very much for the support on last episode where we ran through one breakout player for every Premier League team. And as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, we're going to be going through Premier League predictions quite in depth. Now, I don't know how long this podcast is going to go for. I want to try and make it comprehensive without it being 4 hours long. So we'll touch on a league predictions, and then I might go with top goal scorer. I haven't actually written like top goal scorer and player of the year, whatever. I haven't written them down, but I'll probably touch on that a little bit later on. But I hope everyone is well. Hope the week has treated everyone kindly since the last time we spoke. But I think let's just get rid of it, get all the formalities out of the way, as I should say, and let's just crack into it because it's going to be a big season, and I can't wait to. I just want to get the predictions down and expose myself as a fraud in front of everyone. So it's going to be great. Of course, the championship and other leagues have started. My 9-leg multi on the championship opening day didn't get up, so gamble responsibly, kids. But yes, let's just get into the Premier League predictions. Now, we're going to go through from 20th to 1st, every team, every position, quite comprehensively, I would like to think anyway. And we'll see, we will review this in probably not 12 months' time, in maybe 10 months' time, and we'll see how accurately I have predicted it. Of course, the transfer window is not done, which is actually quite frustrating, although it actually makes sense that it closes when everyone else closes, or when every other transfer window closes. But I would love it. I would have liked it to have closed before the season started, so I can actually get a full comprehensive list, because Chelsea still need about 6 players to rebuild their team. So, I mean, if they sign whoever they sign, that could bump them up, or if players leave, that could bump them down. So yeah, this is as of Monday, August 1st. So this is just under a week away from, I think 5 days away from the opening kickoff, which is Palace versus Arsenal, which is going to be great because we all remember what it was last year, Arsenal-Brentford, the perfect storm. So yeah, can't wait for that. Let's crack into it. And yeah, as of Monday, August 1st. So if there are transfers that I'll try not to change my predictions, especially after the season has started. But if a major transfer happens, let's just say De Bruyne, Laporte, Diaz, and Edison all leave Manchester City, then I probably won't predict them to be where they are right now, for example. But I doubt I will change my predictions because I'm a man of my word, and I want to set them in stone and then go with it. So let's start, and let's go from bottom to top, because that's how suspense works. Let's go with 20th. Let's start there. And I was tossing up between a couple of teams for 20th. It is a newly promoted team, and I've actually gone with AFC Bournemouth. So I feel like this is a bit stiff, but I feel one of the only reasons... Oh, sorry, as I dropped my phone there. One of the reasons, and potentially the only reason why I say that, is because they have not really invested at all. They have the only ins, Joe Rothwell and Ryan Fredericks. Their major out is Robbie Brady, which, I mean, I know it's like they just haven't improved at all in their starting 11, in my opinion. I feel like the players that they had in the Premier League last time, you're looking at your likes of Jefferson Lerma, Chris Mepham, Billing, Dominic Solanke. I feel like they could offer something, but there's just nothing there that can really show me that they've improved in the right areas and improved in the way that in the areas that they need to stay up, because they got up from the championship last year in convincing fashion, granted, but in a way that didn't show to me that they could just take the step up to the Premier League and go bang bang straight away and stay up. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they go. I feel like the opening month for them is very crucial, just so they can get their footing and like kind of set themselves into like into the Premier League, get their feet under themselves again, if that makes any sense, and go from there. But I just am not confident I'm just not confident with them at all, and it is stiff because I feel like they have really good pieces there. I feel like Lloyd Kelly is going to be someone that will take that next step and be a very, very competent Premier League player by season's end. I feel like Kiefer Moore and Dembele add that spark, and obviously we know Kiefer Moore what he offers in terms of his physical presence and that unpredictability, but I just don't think there's a lot there. They've got Jadon Anthony on the wing who can be that player, but can he take that? Can he jump, like take that level up? I don't know. And I feel like depth is something that's going to really hurt them if they get a couple of key injuries, which, I mean, obviously let's not hope it happens, but if they do get injuries to key players, it could be game over for them. So it's just the depth that's worrying me, especially in defence. If they get some injuries, they could be exposed, and I just don't feel like the players that they have in that killed it in the Championship can take that step up to the Premier League, and kind of remain there for the rest of the season. I feel like it's going to be quite. I was going to say embarrassing, but I feel like that's a harsh thing to say. I feel like it's going to be quite comprehensive the way that they go down. I feel like they won't offer too much of a fight, unless obviously they make some big changes, but I don't see that happening, just based on links and what have you. So yeah, I feel like 20th place will be Bournemouth. They'll come up and go straight back down, and hopefully it's not as embarrassing as what we saw Norwich do this season. Let's obviously do it 20th to 19th, and I've gone with another promoted club again, and I've gone with Fulham this time. Not Nottingham Forest, so we'll have to stay tuned to see where they finish. But it's actually quite interesting with Fulham because they are really the definition of a yo-yo team. In recent times, it's that classic joke: Norwich and Fulham never play in the same division together or play in the Premier League in the same year. But I just feel like the loss of Carvalho is going to be big. I know Marco Silva has that Premier League experience, but I just don't see it working out for him this time. It goes back to the same problem I had with Bournemouth. Can the likes of Mitrovic, can the likes of Tom Cairney, can these guys who played in the Premier League 2 seasons ago and didn't really do a whole lot, can they be that? Can they take that step up that they didn't take last time? You're looking at Joe Bryan, Reed, Tete as well, playing right back. Can they take that step up and be a Premier League player? I don't know. I like their ins. I like the in of Palinha. I like the in of Manuel Solomon, who both are very exciting players. And if they get going, then maybe they could stay up. But I feel like it's just going to be same old with Fulham. I don't see a lot of faith. I don't have a lot of faith in them, and it could go down to the manager. It could go down to a couple of other things, which just doesn't give me faith in them. But I feel like this could go either one of two ways. It could be a very good season for them, and Fulham could well and truly be what Brentford were last year. They've made some pretty good ins, in my opinion, and they could be that team that stays up from the teams that get promoted. But I just don't see it happening. It could happen, but I just don't see it happening. So it will be Fulham, the second team to go down, as we move from 19th to 18th, and it is not a newly promoted side. It is a team that a lot of people have predicted to go down. It's Southampton. Now, yeah, Southampton is a really interesting case because they are this perennial Premier League team. Of course, we all know that Southampton shrewd business that they did maybe about a decade ago with your Lallanas and all these type of players, your Wanyamas and these types, your Manes, that really, I mean, they finished in the top 7, I think, one year. So to see them fall and not really being investing in the right areas is quite concerning. I like the signing of Bazanu, the goalkeeper from Manchester City. I feel like he's a very exciting prospect. I like Joel Rebo. I really like that a lot. But I just don't think it'll be enough. I feel like they lack a lot of depth up front. I'm not quite sure if they've signed anyone since the time I wrote this run sheet, but I feel like they lack a lot of depth up front. And if James Ward-Prowse has half the season that he had last year, because they relied on his set piece delivery so much, if he just has half the season that he had last year, I feel like it could be quite a poor season for Southampton. It's tricky because, like I said, the Joel Rebo signing, I like it a lot. I really, really like it, but it could just be one too many seasons for them to stay in the Premier League. I just don't have any positive vibes going into this season for them, and I just feel like this is the time where they take that, or where they suffer the fate, a bit like how Sunderland's kind of stayed up and stayed up and stayed up, and then fell in quite convincingly into the Championship. I feel like Southampton could see the same fate. I don't think they'll go relegated down to League One, but I feel like this could be the season for Southampton, which isn't good for them. I mean, there's a lot of questions. I think we're just really uncertain about their team. Like, we all know the quality of Ward-Prowse, but is his set-piece delivery enough to keep them up? Joel Rebo, I like it a lot, but is he Premier League level, like solid Premier League level? A lot of questions are going to be answered very early on in the season. I feel like it's going to go one way early. If they hit the ground running and can keep up that intensity that Hasenhüttl's game plan obviously demands, and if they can get some results early, then I feel like they'll stay up. If they fall early, to have a couple of hard defeats and don't get that confidence going, I feel like it could be a long, long season for Southampton, and I predict that they will be the 18th place team and the third team to go down. So let's go from the team that just survives relegation. It is the third newly promoted team, Nottingham Forest. Now, it's weird because Fulham and Bournemouth were the two teams that stayed up and got promoted, and got promoted quite convincingly. Obviously, we all know Fulham's season was ridiculous last season. Bournemouth, while it wasn't overly convincing, they stayed up, or they got promoted rather. If automatically, no, they didn't have to go through the playoffs, but there's just this vibe around Nottingham Forest this season. I know they got up to the playoffs. Steve Cooper is this unpredictable manager that we don't know whether or not his game style is going to cut it at Premier League level, if his players are going to be up to it at Premier League level. But they've signed the likes of Omar Richards, they've signed Jesse Lingard, Dean Henderson, these Premier League, Lingard and Henderson are Premier League proven players, and they have been very shrewd with Omar Richards as well. So, and amongst others as well, Nico Williams as well, I think is a very shrewd signing. So this could be, I could see this going very, very, either very well or very poorly. I feel like it's going to be similar to Fulham. And I feel like this is going to be the other side of Fulham. I feel like if Forest stay up under any circumstance, it's a massive tick for them, because I feel like they've got the base down. It's like if they just stay up, then they can build off it. It's just about staying up this season. And I do just have this something about Forest and something about their game plan, like the fans and the players they've brought in. I just feel pretty good about them this season. They've gone big in the transfer market and they've signed Premier League proven players. And we're saying this now, but if we look back in 6 months' time and they've won one game by January, we're going to look at these signings and think, why did they spend $200,000 or £200 a week on Jesse Lingard, or why did they go get someone like a Nico Williams or whatever? But I feel like it's going to be a tale of. I feel like a good way to predict Nottingham Forest this season is it's going to be a tale of whether or not Steve Cooper flinches. If he flinches and if he goes defensive and if he moves away from that game plan that saw him transform this Nottingham Forest team last season, then that's going to be the issue. But if he stays strong, if he stays resolute, and if he just maintains that game style, I feel like it's going to be enough to keep him up. It's going to be tight. It might go down to the final day, and I hope it does. But I feel like they'll stay up just. And I feel like Forest in the Premier League is good for the Premier League. So Let's go from Forest to 16th place, and I feel like a lot of people have been waiting for this team, and it's Everton. So now, I mean, Everton are so weird. They've lost Richarlison, which is a massive loss for them, as we all know. But I just feel like they'll do enough. I feel like they've got that find a way that teams without the fans, without the resolve that Everton showed that they have last season, the other teams just don't have it. And they haven't proven to me that they have it. So they brought in Tarkowski and Dwight McNeil. I think Tarkowski is a great signing. I think Dwight McNeil is a great signing, very versatile on that left-hand side. I think he could do a job as a left wing-back if Lampard wants to go to that 3-at-the-back system. I do think they'll play a 4-3-3, and I do think they're going to need a lot from Calvert-Lewin. They're going to need a lot from Anthony Gordon. He's going to have to step up big time. And I am worried about them to an extent, but I feel like they'll just do enough to stay up. I feel like it'll be similar to last season. They'll battle relegation all year, but I feel like they'll just do enough to stay up. And Tarkowski, for me, screams intelligence in terms of their business strategy because they've gone out and spent big before. We all know their signings on ridiculous players, spending 130 million and not getting any value for money. They've gone shrewd. They've gone for two players who were very good for Burnley last season. Unfortunately, they went down, but Tarkowski and McNeil, two stalwarts to that Burnley side who were traditionally very good defensively, is a very clever way of shoring up their defence. I know obviously McNeil's a winger, but he has a defensive mindset, and we all know Tarkowski, how good he is. This is a changing of the guard in terms of their signings, I think. They've gone local, they've gone English, they've gone cheap, and they've gone shrewd, rather than spending 30 million on Czech Tosun and players like this, right? So I feel like they're going to need some reinforcements. They're going to need another winger because I feel like they've got Gordon and not much else. I don't think Gray is that good. Townsend is okay in spurts, but I think he's past it. They need a difference maker to partner Anthony Gordon and Calvert-Lewin. Obviously, Calvert-Lewin needs to stay fit because if he doesn't, then that's going to be tight. But I feel like Lampard can turn it around and they'll stay up by the barest of margins, I think. This is going to be a very tight, very tight relegation race, I think. Now, let's go to 15th place. And I think people are underestimating this team ever so slightly. And there's a couple of reasons for it, and I understand it. But I've gone for Brentford. Now, obviously, the losing Christian Eriksen is massive. He was huge for them last season. And we all know the second season syndrome is something that has plagued teams before. We obviously saw it plague Sheffield United when they came up and nearly plagued the Leeds last season. Before, obviously, we all know sacking Bielsa was the correct decision in the end. But I just have this confidence around Thomas Frank and Brentford and the vibe around them. I have a lot of confidence in them. I think they've gone very clever in the market, signing someone like a Keane Lewis-Potter, who I said will be Brentford's breakout player this season. I just think signings like that, a player that was at Hull last season, wasn't really a standout player in the championship, but someone who, I think he had 15 goal contributions last season in the championship, playing off the left wing, or playing off the right wing, cutting in. I think he's left-footed, so playing off the right wing, cutting inside. I feel like it is a very shrewd signing, and signing someone like a Ben Mee, again from a relegated team, but someone with very good defensive mindedness, is another very solid signing. Signing someone like an Strakosha as well, coming from overseas, is a very solid deputy goalkeeper. I think David Raya will still hold the number one goalie spot, or the number one gloves. Who knows? But I feel like with Brentford, they did start with 3 at the back last year. They moved to a 4 at the back late on in the season. I don't know if that was due to injury or what have you, but it is kind of, they still do maintain that 3 at the back kind of mentality in a sense, with the likes of Rico Henry on that left side being that attacking verve, and then having that elbow formation kind of with the right back tucking in. I know Eriksen is a massive loss. He was so crucial to them in the back half of the season, but I feel like the lack of depth up front is concerning as well. Second season syndrome, but I feel like Brentford are a side that will maybe not defy odds, but will be a team that are underestimated a lot pre-season and will just come out and just keep going the way that they're going. So I've gone with Brentford in 15th. I really like the sign of Keane Lewis-Potter, and even someone like an Aaron Hickey as well will come in and be a good option for them as well. So I feel like if it was any other club apart from Brentford, I wouldn't be as confident. But they've proven to me, especially last season and in the Championship, they've proven to me that when they sign players, they sign them in a shrewd way, and they can just make something out of nothing. So I've gone with Brentford in 15th place. Now let's go to 14th, and I've gone with Wolves. Now, to be honest, Wolves fans, I don't really have a lot for you. You've brought in Nathan Collins and got now Vinagre, who, I mean, that's about it. Unless this run sheet is completely outdated. I did write this not that long ago, but I'm just not confident. In all honesty, I'm not confident. You won't go down. You won't battle for European places. You won't be in contention to go down. Not a chance in hell. It's just something that is just kind of there. You're just there. Wolves are there. I hesitate to say making up the numbers, but I feel like Bruno Lage is a good manager. He's just building good foundations. And I feel like while this might seem like a nothing year for Wolves, especially off the back of last season where they were quite good, you're going to be better for this season in 2-3 years' time, where Lage is just building this defensively solid foundation and just kind of figuring out what kind of players he wants, what profile of player he wants, what system he wants to go offensively going for in the future. So 14th place for Wolves. I just don't really think you offer a lot offensively. You were quite boring, to be blunt, last season. And I just feel like Lage, like I said, he's just building foundations of this season that you will see the benefits of this type of season in 2-3 years' time, when you'll get those attacking players to kick on and be a far better offensive side. So yeah, Wolves 14th place. Now let's go up to 13th place, and this team has been underestimated heavily for me this season, and a lot of people have predicted them to go down, but I am so confident, and this will 100% come back to bite me if they do go down. But in 13th place, I've got Leeds. Leeds will not get relegated this season, and they won't even come close to it. I know the outs of Rafinha and Phillips are very, very crucial, and I know they were unbelievable for them last season and offered so much. I know Jesse Marsch isn't a Premier League proven manager, but the likes of Aronson, Adams, Rocker, Christiansen, and Sinestra, I love those signings. Jesse Marsch, we all know his history in the Red Bull system, in the Red Bull factory, if you want to call it, and the likes of Rocker, and I know Rocker was at Bayern Munich, and he was highly rated at Bayern Munich, but I mean, for Leeds to get him at a cut price is a fantastic signing. Aronson and Adams as well, both Red Bull products. Marsch will know exactly what they're about, and they kind of got them all uncontested. And I understand the Rafinha and Phillips loss are all pretty much irreplaceable. I just feel like they'll compensate for the lack of individual brilliance from Calvin Phillips and Rafinha, from just tactically solid football, from very intelligent and composed players. I feel like if you transition from the German league, which is very high tempo, very energetic, even the Austrian league as well, where some of the Red Bull players have come from, it is high tempo, it is high line, pressing really intensely. Coming to the Premier League against sides that will sit back against you, playing in that midfield role will allow you to have more time on the ball and be more composed. They're going to get Patrick Bamford as well back, who was a massive loss for them last season. He'll just add 15 goals at a minimum for them this season, and I feel like Marsch can have this side playing very good football. I rate him. I rate his soft skills quite well. I think he's very personable. He's very relatable in a sense, and I feel like he can motivate these players very well. I mean, we saw it in the back end of last season when the chips were down, Leeds were able to just get result after result after result and stay up somehow. And I feel like these additions are going to be in 12 months' time going to be looking back and think, geez, Leeds might have won the window. So yeah, in 13th place, I've got Leeds. So to everyone saying that they'll get relegated, not a chance in hell. In 12th place, there's a couple of teams I've got to go on with, and before I probably should have prefaced this before I spoke about Leeds, but I felt like the bottom, so from 15th down, I felt confident. From 14th down, I felt confident. From 6 up, I felt confident. From 7 to 12th, from 7th to 13th, I wanted to pull my hair out because there's about 5 sides that could all fit in about 2 positions, but I've just had to whittle them down and just kind of go off vibe in a sense. But in 12th place, I've gone with Aston Villa. Now, this system that Steven Gerrard has them playing is quite unique, and it's something we haven't really seen in the Premier League in a while because there's been such a heavy emphasis on these attacking players out wide, these wingers that can cut inside, overlapping fullbacks, hugging the touchline. And I know that's a very key part of Steven Gerrard's system, but this narrow 4-3-3 system that they're playing is going to be very interesting to see how it develops over a full season. Now, they've obviously signed Diego Carlos. They've got Coutinho on a deal, like on a confirmed deal. I'm not sure if it was beforehand, but it is now. Augustinsson, Olsen as well as a backup goalkeeper, and Kamara as a central defensive midfielder is unbelievable business. I feel like it depends. If they can get the best out of their number 9s, which will probably be Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings, then that could be the avenue. If they hit the ground running, if they can improve this season, be those really good attacking players that can get them at least 15 goals a season from them, like get them 15 goals a season each, that will be where you see the impact that they could have in a sense. I feel like these 2 players in particular that I'm about to mention, Emi Buendia and Leon Bailey, they're going to need to pronounce themselves this season. They're going to need to step up because when they got rid of Grealish, they got Ings, Buendia and Leon Bailey. And I was very optimistic about them. Ings is probably the only one that you could say has been value for money. I know he hasn't hit the ground running and scored like 25 goals a season, but he's been serviceable. So I am confident in the fact that Buendia and Bailey is just pure quality and just pure like they're just pure natural ability will be able to get them into very good positions and really allow them to pronounce themselves next season. And I feel like when you look at the youth, you look at someone like a Chukwuemeka and Jacob Ramsey, 2 players that are the next generation for Aston Villa next season, and Steven Gerrard will play the youth and will heavily target those 2 players as having breakout seasons. I feel like the fullbacks as well they're going to play a major part for Villa next season, considering how narrow Steven Gerrard's formation is. Having those overlapping fullbacks is going to be crucial. Someone like a Matty Cash is going to be very, very involved in the final third play. He's going to be very, very. He's going to be quite heavily. He's going to heavily influence the way Aston Villa attack and their overall offensive output, which is a lot of responsibility to hold on a fullback. But I do trust that he can get it done because I do rate him, and we all know what Digne can offer on that far side as well. So their left and right backs are 2 very solid players. I will offer a lot. So yeah, 12th place Aston Villa, but I feel like it's going to be very tight. I feel like it's going to be 5 points separating 13th to 7th. That's my prediction. So yeah, it really could fall down on the last day or whatever. Like if a team has a cup run or whatever, I feel like it's going to be very tight between these positions. But I've gone with 11th place, and this is a team that I might have slightly overrated. I've gone with Crystal Palace. Now, I love the signing of Doucouré. I think it's another one of those signings that's just ridiculous. It's almost I almost can't fathom how they were able to sign him pretty much uncontestedly. I mean, not really uncontestedly, but I didn't see a lot of teams after him. And it is going to be a interesting way to see how Patrick Vieira can adapt without having Conor Gallagher, because he Conor Gallagher offered so much for them last season, and he was so integral to them, so integral to the way that they attacked last season. He was really a very good offensive verve in a sense, and I feel like this phrase could come back to bite me, but I feel like second season syndrome for a team like this could happen. I know they didn't get promoted, and I know it's not the same thing, but they had the high with Vieira as coach last year, and they played such brilliant football, and they were really energetic. They were exciting to watch, and all that good stuff. I just feel like with the loss of Gallagher, they could slowly seep back into that mid-table mediocrity in a sense, just for this season. They've signed Chris Richards as well, which is a fantastic signing for some centre back depth. Was at Hoffenheim last season. So they have addressed areas of concern. They've got Sam Johnson, who should slot in as number one goalkeeper, in my opinion. So, yeah, I am wary about Crystal Palace. I really want them to succeed because I really do like them, and I really do think that they are quality. Like, I do think that they are quality. So, I'm going with them as in 11th place, but I feel like they could finish lower than that if they do get a couple of injuries. I feel like someone like a Eze is going to be integral to them this season. I feel like Eze could have a breakout season. I love Eberechi Eze, so hopefully he does, but I feel like he's going to be integral to them. And if someone like an Odsonne Edouard can hit the ground running and can really be that striker that they've been lacking in a sense, they've been lacking for a long time, I feel like that's going to be their best chance at maintaining the level that they were last season. So that is who I've got in 11th place. Now, we're at the halfway stage. I'm going to have a quick intermission because it's been 30 minutes straight and I haven't stopped speaking, and I feel like I might speak for 20 minutes more after this. So I'll have a quick break. It'll be 10 seconds, not even. It'll be a transition for everyone listening and watching, but I'll be back just after this with my 10-1 and then player of the season, goal of the season, or maybe not goal of the season. You know what I mean. I'll be back. Okay, I've had a break. I've had a Kit Kat, and we're back with 10-1. That was my bottom 10. So if you're fans of any of those clubs, I'm sorry, but it's just my opinion. So it's not fact, is it? So and think about it. If you do think you'll finish in the top 10, just come back to me in at the end of the season, and you can abuse me all you want. So just think about that. But let's go from 10-1, and let's go with 10th place. And there's a couple of teams I could have gone with, but I've actually gone with a team that I really like and I really want to do well. I've gone with Brighton. Now, Brighton are weird because the loss of Basuma is massive. So I'm not discounting that by any stretch, but I feel like if any team is going to be able to overcome that loss in a tactical way, if you can even call it that, it's going to be Brighton. I really rate. Of course, I rate Graham Potter. Like, how many times I have to say it on this podcast before? Like, I sound silly. Like, I really think he's a very clever manager that will get the best out of this squad. And they've signed two strikers. They've signed Undav and they've signed Julio Inceso. Who knows? He's Argentinian, I think. And I think he's more of like a cam centre forward type operator. But I'm assuming he'll play up front. I'm also assuming that Undav will start. And he needs to bang in the goals because they've got Welbeck, they've got Connolly. Is Connolly still playing for them? I don't know. But they've got him, they've got Mopai. They've basically signed 8 strikers and none of them can hit a barn door to save their lives. So if Undav can even score 16, 17 goals a season, that's going to be a massive improvement for them. They need Cucurella to stay. I think by the time this has come out, he would have maybe not gone to City, but at least handed in a transfer request formally. That's such a massive loss for them because it is like he's so important to them. Like, he's so good. Like, he's so good for them. I'm not sure if the talent will translate to Pep Guardiola. Of course, if he's going to go anywhere, he'll go to Man City. So I still do think that if they do sell him, they need to be very shrewd and get probably 2 left-sided defenders / wing-backs because Cucurella played left-sided centre-back for them last season. He can play left wing-back. He can even play as a left winger, right? He's so versatile that they need to sign two players to replace him, in my opinion. And I do trust Podo signing the right players, but if they can get a solid left-sided centre back in, and even get a solid left wing back, this will allow players like Solly March and Leandro Trossard to get high up the pitch and play that left forward role to really have a bigger impact. Because I rate March and Trossard as wing backs. I do rate them highly, but I feel like if they are given that freedom to roam the pitch a little bit more, they could be given if they're given the license, they could really take it with both hands. So I'm going with Brighton 10th. I think they'll be just straight down the middle, solid as always. They'll upset a few teams, but they'll get exposed. Maybe not exposed, but I don't know how to. I really like them. I feel like they'll cause trouble to a lot of teams. Put it that way. Okay, in 9th place, I've gone with. I could have gone with plenty of teams, and I feel like this team is. I feel like it's something. This team is so weird to me. 9th place, I've gone with Leicester. Now, I say this, and it's almost kind of like contradicting myself with what I'm about to say, but I think they're going to have a really exciting season, but they'll finish 9th. I don't know how that makes any sense, but they haven't signed anyone. They haven't gotten rid of anyone, but they haven't signed anyone. I know Fofana's on the way out, it seems, to Chelsea, but I doubt that deal will go through. At this stage, they've had made no business, so they'll take the same squad into last year. And with that, so if they do take the same squad into last year, or into this season from last year, it's gonna be a proof in the pudding that Brendan Rodgers is gonna back the likes of Drewsbury Hall, Patson Daka, Harvey Barnes, these young, maybe not young kids, but these younger players to really take the mantle. You're gonna see Patson Daka play a lot more than Jamie Vardy. Drewsbury Hall is going to be in that midfield role. Harvey Barnes is going to be that key winger for them this season. So they're on the periphery of breaking down the door, but have never been able to establish themselves. And I feel like this year is going to be a slightly different season and a slightly different Leicester than what we've seen in previous seasons. I feel like they're going to be really exciting, but they're going to drop games that they shouldn't drop, and they're going to end up finishing 9th. But I feel like it won't represent them. It won't represent how good they are. I feel like they'll be a better team than finishing 9th, but I just feel like they'll fall into 9th spot. However, I can see a future in which Leicester bomb and Brendan Rodgers gets sacked by Christmas, because I feel like if I can see a future where the time's done for Rodgers and they need to move on, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I do rate Leicester's squad as it is. I do think they need some more reinforcements. But if they go into this season with no transfers in, no transfers out, I feel like they'll finish 9th. And it'll be off the back of experimenting and having that changing of the guard. That's that slight disruption in the starting 11, with Daka starting more, with Barnes being a key player, with Drewsbury Hall starting a lot more and being key players for them. That slight disruption will just see them finishing 9th. But they'll be much better than finishing 9th, if that makes sense. Okay, let's get into the top 8 now. And is this European places, or is the top 7 still European places? I don't know. But I've gone with... Now 8th and 7th are... 8th and 7th are the two positions that really I could swap right now. The reason I've gone with this team in 8th and this team in 7th is because the team in 7th has signed the player that I really like, and that basically pushed them up to 7th. And if you keen listeners of this podcast, you'll know exactly what team and what player I'm talking about. But in 8th place, I'm going with Newcastle United. Now, I know I said that they're a top 4 threat. Now, a lot of people have been misinterpreting what I meant by saying that. Misinterpreted what I said by saying that for a long time. Last year, West Ham were a top 4 threat, despite finishing 6th or 7th or wherever they finished. They were battling top 4, they were threatening, but they just fell at the final stage. I think that's going to be what Newcastle are going to be this season. I feel like they'll be in and around the top 4 for the majority of the season, but they'll just fall away late and finish 8th. However, I really am excited to see how they play, because they've signed Botman, Pope and Target at this stage, and they've gotten rid of Gale, Clark and Hayden. They're the three kind of big ins and outs, and that is like that's such a good sign for Newcastle fans because they've gotten rid of the hacks of the creata as it is said in Greek. They've gotten rid of the hacks. They've got rid of the has-beens. They've actually got rid of Jeff Hendrick, Kieran Clark as well. So there you go. So I mean I just said Kieran Clark, but they got rid of Jeff Hendrick as well. So they're getting rid of the deadwood. They're bringing exciting players, and they're being very smart with their money. They're being very, they're being clever in terms of they're just signing this player to fill this hole, this player to fill this hole, and they're really signing profiles of player that suit Eddie Howe's system, but will also suit Newcastle United as a club. They're not just splashing cash. They're not getting Gareth Bale or Dele Alli or they're not splashing cash on like when City signed Robinho back in the day. Like they're just being very clever with their money, being patient, building solid foundations, and then that can be added on by cherry picking these like mercurial talents. Like at a later date, maybe next season you're going to see Newcastle sign 2 or 3 exciting young players that can just play on the left wing, play up front, play like right back, but like a really exciting fullback that they'll bomb on and like really create something for them. So Howe's a fantastic manager that will get the most out of this team, no doubt, and you can expect a European charge this season and expect a sustained bid in the cup competition because I feel like Newcastle have waited so long for a trophy that they're gonna want to get one, regardless of what it is. They're gonna want to get one. So it'll be interesting to see if their form will continue from last season. I think it will, but now the difference is that everyone knows what to expect from them. Everyone knows what to expect from Eddie Howe. Everyone knows what to expect from the players that they've got. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not they can maintain that kind of like frantic pace that they played like the back end of the season at. The unpredictability factor is gone now, so it'll be interesting to see whether their form continues. But I've gone with 8th for Newcastle United, but like Leicester, they'll be a lot better than 8th, but they'll just fall there. And I feel like that's what it's going to be like from every team from 13th onwards. So from Leeds up, they're going to be a lot better than what their final league position says. It's just that you can't fit 12 teams into 3 positions. So that's what it's going to be. 8th place, or 7th place. This is 100% European football now, and it will be West Ham United. Now, I've gone with, before we touch on West Ham, I've gone with the top 6 as the top 6 clubs, and I'll touch on why that is in a moment. But for West Ham, I've gone 7th. The fact that they've signed Scamacca has pushed them from me thinking that they'll be mid-table to guaranteed 7th place, like 7th place at a minimum, because he is just exactly what they needed, like exactly what they needed. They needed backup for Antonio, it was probably one of the biggest positions of concern in the Premier League. Like they needed a backup for Antonio more than anything else, and they've waited. They saw him available for 30 million or whatever it was. I don't actually know how much he got signed for, and they've picked him out. Bang, you're mine, and I love it. I love it so much, and he'll fit into the Moyes system brilliantly. Will he start? I don't know. I feel like Moyes really likes Antonio. I can see maybe Antonio playing on a wing, maybe, and Scamacca playing up front, and then him pushing on as like a second striker. That could be a potential, a potential outcome. But I just think Scamacca is such quality, and not only quality but depth quality as well. So even if he doesn't start, he'll come off the bench and be something that could really damage some teams. Moyes has got this side ticking, and it might be one season too much, because eventually this is going to fall off at some stage. They might get flushed out by better quality player for player, better quality teams in a sense. But I feel like if they're building nicely. Rice is still there somehow. Souček is still there. Bowen's still there, Scamacca's there, Antonio's there. They signed the centre-back whose name I can't pronounce, Agued. He's French and he's good. That's all I know. So They're just being very clever with their business, and I feel like it's going to be a very good season for West Ham United. I know 7th isn't necessarily, they were going to finish top 4 last season, right? But I feel like they're going to be happy with 7th place this season for West Ham. I feel like it's going to be a good season for them. Now, 6th place. Here we go. Top 6 time. This is why I left it to last, because I can probably see the retention rate. I mean, I won't speak on retention rates because I don't want to jinx anything. But let's go with 6th place. And, I mean, I've gone with Manchester United. And I don't know why. Because I can't see a world in which United finish 6th. But, this is so tight. I'm even debating changing it. No, United are 6th. And it's going to be so tight once again. Trust me, it's going to be 3 points separating 3rd to 6th. Something ridiculous like that, because they've signed Eriksen, Martinez and Malacia. I've spoken on their signings. They haven't really signed anyone since I spoke about them last episode. No, 2 episodes before. In the last off-season episode, I spoke about United signings. But the first stages of the dead wood are being cleared, which is tick. Massive tick for a reboot. Cavani, Mata, Pogba, Henderson, Matic, Lingard, Pereira. All shifted out of the door, all not needed, all dead weight that is holding this team back. The fact that they're gone, massive tick. And I feel like this United team is going to be 1 step backwards, 2 steps forward. Or 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards. It's going to be, they're going to get a couple of good games. They're going to get a good run in a row where they're going to beat some good teams. They might even go far in like a cup or whatever, but they'll fall. They'll lose to Leeds away or something, or they'll lose to Newcastle or whatever. But then they'll go on another good run, but then they'll lose again. They might lose 2 in a row, 3 in a row, but then they'll go again, but then they'll lose. I feel like it's going to be that type of season. It's going to be that type of season where you could see the improvement from Ten Hag, but they're just lacking that quality, that polish up front, and that final edge. They're just lacking that it factor. But the signs are going to be there, and I feel like they'll slip to 6th purely out of circumstance. I don't think that they're going to be a 6th place team. I feel like they'll just slip to 6th because of circumstance. But I feel like it's not going to be an overnight rebuild. You're not going to see United play scintillating football, finishing in the top 3 or top 2 overnight. There's going to be hints of progression there. There's going to be hints of that. All right, something's building here with Ten Hag. Well, let's just clear out more deadwood. Let's bring in some more signings, and then they can kick on. But I feel like it's just going to be a building year for United, and then next year, that's when they need to kick on, and that's when I can expect them finishing in the top 3, in the top 2, potentially even a title charge, because I just rate what they're building so highly, and I rate the signing of Martinez. I rate Ten Hag as a manager, and I feel like if they get rid of the deadwood, bring some more clever signings in, not this season, but next season is where they're going to really push on. This season, just a building season for them, in my opinion. So, and a further point of this is that you're going to see some players become world beaters overnight. Think Thomas Tuchel turned Antonio Rudiger into the best left-sided centre-back in the world. You're going to see something like that happen under Ten Hag. He'll take a player, whether it's Martial, whether it's Rashford, whether it's Donny van de Beek, whether it's Harry Maguire, whether it's David De Gea, who knows? But you're going to see a player turn into a world beater because Ten Hag has the ability to do that with a player. So that's just something to look out for United, in my opinion. So let's go to 5th place. And which team misses out on top 4? I think it will be Arsenal. I think Arsenal will finish 5th. And I mean, I've been outspoken about Arsenal quite a bit. I know Gabriel Jesus has scored a badonkulong zillion goals in pre-season. I know he's going to win the Golden Boot and potentially win the Ballon d'Or. But I don't just think they're lacking something. Now, they had a good back... I mean, firstly, their signings. Jesus, Vieira, Turner, Marquinhos, Zinchenko, I think are great. They got rid of Guendouzi, Mavropanos, and Lacazette. I feel like they're going to be okay. They had a good season last year, but fell off towards the tail end of the season. They're still lacking a central midfielder. It's a partner, Thomas Partey, pending a lot of allegations. Will he play or will he not play? That's a story for a different time, and I'm pretty sure I will speak about it at a later date. But let's just assume that he will play. I don't think he will, but let's just assume he'll play. They still need a player to partner him if he'll play. They still need another central midfielder. Xhaka is not good enough. Zinchenko, I don't think he's good enough to be a permanent central midfielder. I feel like he could play there for maybe a game or two, or play there for half an hour or whatever. I don't think he's good enough to be there for 38 games of a Premier League season for a side that wants to challenge for top 4. But I feel like there's a lot of questions left for Arsenal. We all know Jesus is good, but do they need another striker? Is Nketiah going to be a more than capable backup? Will someone like a Florian Balogun take the next step? Who knows? Can they defensively hold up? Right back and left back, there's not a whole bunch of depth there. Centre back, not a whole bunch of depth there either. I know they've got Gabriel, White and Saliba, but players like Holding and Pablo Mari aren't great. A lot of questions to be asked about Arsenal. And despite Arsenal wanting to finish top 4 this season and wanting to make a title charge of this season and wanting to be the best team in the world, because their expectations are quite ridiculous, to be frank, they just need to be patient. They just need to be patient because, I know you're Arsenal and I know you have major expectations, but something that's lost in football these days is patience. And a team that will have patience with their team, with their manager, trust the process. But that's what I'm saying. I know that they've been trusting the process for a long time, but I feel like something's ticking. If we get to January and nothing's working, we can't even see a glimmer of hope, then drastic change is needed. But if there is a glimmer of hope there for Arsenal this season, I feel like they just need to be patient. Even if they don't finish top 4, they just need to be patient because I feel like it'll work eventually. Okay, let's go to the top 4. Now, I am kind of debating switching my 3rd and 4th place at the moment, but I'll back my intuition. I'll back my gut. I'll back what I've gone with. I'll back what I've gone with for this run sheet. And with 4th place, I've gone with Tottenham Hotspur. Now, I'm very bullish about Tottenham Hotspur, to be frank. The signing of Richarlison, Jed Spence, Longley, Basuma, Perisic, Forster is an unbelievable transfer window for Antonio Conte. Unbelievable transfer window for Antonio Conte. They're 3-4-3 formation. I'm very bullish about them. I think they have the capacity to really challenge this year. They have a great coach, fantastic signings. Everything is in place for them to make a real sustained bid for the title, in my opinion. I genuinely think that. Everything is in place for that to be a thing. I just think that it just needs more time. It just needs a little bit more time. And is it because of the Spursy nature? Maybe. Is it because they don't have a lot of depth? Maybe. But they've shown that they can beat top teams and take points off them. People are sleeping on the Conte factor so much. Remember, this is the same Antonio Conte that turned Victor Moses into the best right wing back in the world for a season, right? He gave Marcos Alonso a career at Chelsea. He's a freak. So he's able to transform players like that. If they get one more number 8 style midfielder, I feel like that'll be the best thing for them at the moment. Because I back his ability to turn players like Reguilon and Doherty and Sessegnon into really good players. Just as examples. But I've gone with them finishing 4th. I feel like, once again, they'll fall there as a victim of circumstance. I feel like they'll be better than a 4th place team. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm very tempted to switch them. I'm very tempted to put them higher, but it might be my subconscious Chelsea bias. I don't think it is. Because I do genuinely think that they are very good. And I am scared of them. So, yeah. 4th place for Tottenham. But it'll be 4th place by a bee's dick. It won't be they won't be comfortably 4th. They really could have finished 2nd if the ball bounced a different way, in my opinion. Let's go to 3rd place, and I think there's no need to say who's in 3rd place. It's my team, Chelsea FC. They've brought in Sterling Koulibaly and basically peek behind the curtain. I wrote this run sheet in two separate parts. I wrote like the top 10 in terms of alphabetical order, like last week, and the bottom 10 a couple of days ago. I've got here Chelsea signing Sterling, Koulibaly, Koundé, and Ake. We all know that those last two aren't a thing anymore, so I'll just quickly delete both of them. They've only signed Sterling and Koulibaly. I think that's karma for me going too early. They've only signed Sterling and Koulibaly, who I do think are very good signings, just quietly. Like I did do a podcast speaking about their rebuild, but I feel like they are very shrewd signings for Tuchel's system. Outs, Lukaku, Rudiger, Christensen, Azpilicueta pending as well. And, I mean, I've seen reports that Gallagher's going to go to Leicester. Like, I really hope that doesn't happen. But, like, I think this 3-4-3 system for Tuchel isn't going to last. I think he will switch to a 4-3-3 because now they've got Koulibaly and Thiago Silva, two centre-backs, very capable of playing in a back two. So there will no need to be that defensive protection in a sense. They still need a number 9. I don't think Havertz is good enough to be a out-and-out number 9. To be honest, someone like a Richarlison would have been perfect. Someone who can play up front, but can also play on those two wide positions as well. They're in a really precarious position because they haven't really improved, in a sense. I mean, if you take Sterling, Koulibaly in, Lukaku, Rudiger, Christensen out, it's almost just kind of breaking even, in a sense. And with the likes of Spurs improving, Arsenal improving, United improving, it's going to be interesting to see where Chelsea sit. This could be a Conte second season type operation for Chelsea. There's a future where I can see Chelsea crashing and burning, finishing 5th. I can really see that happening. I don't think it will, but I can see it happening. They definitely need more centre-backs. I know Levi Colwill is there, and I really do rate him. I really do rate someone like an Ethan Ampadu. I feel like Ampadu is more of a defensive midfielder than a centre-back. And Azpilicueta, whether he leaves or not, he isn't getting any younger. So Chelsea's business needs to continue during the season. I think it will. I think we'll see a lot of players play for Chelsea that didn't play the first game of the season because they weren't at the club. But I'm seeing Wesley Fofana thrown around, who would be a great signing for them, no doubt. But I feel like they'll just do enough to finish 3rd. It'll be similar to last season, in a sense. Maybe not last season, but it'll be similar to the season under Maurizio Sarri, where whoever finishes 3rd or 4th or 5th or 6th will just fall there. They won't, I think from 6th to 3rd, so United, Arsenal, Spurs, and Chelsea, I feel like they will just fall into their positions. I don't think it will be earned. I feel like they'll just fall in their positions based on circumstance. So they could really finish anywhere in that top 6, and I would not be surprised one bit. But I feel like they'll just fall in their positions, and I think Chelsea will fall into 3rd place. So let's go to the top 2. No surprises which 2 teams are left, Liverpool and Manchester City. Of course, they did play in the Community Shield final, which was a great game. I can't bother doing a proper review of that. But in 2nd place, I've gone... I don't even know. I don't even know, to be honest. I don't even know. I'm going to go with 2nd place. I've got it down on my run sheet, and I can see who's written down 2nd in my run sheet here. But I'm really tossing and turning, and the Community Shield has had something to do with it. But I'm going to go with my gut. Liverpool will finish in 2nd place. I think and of course City will finish 1st. Like it's going to be a bee's dick again. Really, it's going to be so tight once again. There's something about these two clubs that I might and with the chapters at the bottom of the video, like across the screen for those on YouTube, this is just going to be 1st and 2nd because I'm just going to speak about them both because I feel like they're so eerily similar. Like they've both signed 2 big strikers who could really make or break each other's seasons. They really could. Like if Nunes hits the ground running and Haaland falls, then we'll see Liverpool win the league. If Haaland does what he always does, or what we've always seen him do, City will win the league. This is the first time really in Klopp and Pep's era where they've had number 9s. Like I know Pep had Aguero, but this is the first time where they've both had like strikers, like the traditional striker, a running towards the goal, like powerful, a brute, intimidating striker, like physically intimidating strikers. Both are very technically capable in their own rights. I think City, what I would say is that I feel like City's outs hurt them more than Liverpool's outs, but I feel like City's ins will have a bigger impact than Liverpool's ins. I feel like City getting Haaland, Alvarez and Phillips will have a greater impact than Liverpool getting Nunes, Carvalho, Ramsey, but I feel like City getting rid of Zinchenko, Jesus and Sterling will have a bigger impact than Liverpool getting rid of Minamino, Mane, Origi, Williams. In my opinion, like, this could go out either two ways. I feel like City will win the league. I feel like Liverpool could win the Champions League. I mean, Klopp is probably the best man manager in the world, probably maybe behind Zidane. That's about it, I would say. Like, and I just feel like, is this Pep's last season? I don't know. Like, it's going to be tight. It's going to be really tight, like always. Like, Haaland and Alvarez are probably the best 1-2 punch in the Premier League in terms of starting striker and striker off the bench. They're probably the best 1-2 punch. But then again, you have Salah and Nunes and Diaz, who are probably the best front three. I mean, it's going to be what? It's going to be, you'd think it'd be Salah, Nunes, Diaz versus Haaland, Mahrez, Foden. I mean, take your pick, but like, take your pick. It's still great. Like, it's still great. It's still great to see, and I would probably take Liverpool's front three just. But I mean, you look at the midfield. It's so tight. It's so tight. But I'm gonna go with City win the league. I just feel like they're just gonna be too good. I just feel like they're gonna be too good. I think they'll fall at the Champions League once again because I feel like that club's cursed. Maybe it's Pep, maybe it's the club, but I feel like that club is cursed. But yeah, it will be Liverpool. It will be Liverpool second place, Man City first place, and just to give a rounding prediction, it will be Liverpool will finish on 91 points. City will finish on 93 points, I think. And it won't be decided. It will be decided on the final day, but it'll be decided on the final day, I think. But it'll be decided in a way. Actually, no, I don't know. Okay, I'm just gonna go with Liverpool second, City first, and it'll be 3 points max, the difference between both sides. That's what I'm gonna go with, and that's going to be my final answer because I don't want to torture myself by thinking about it anymore. Yes, those are my Premier League predictions, 20th to 1st. Now, should I just go with the whole like player of the year? Let's do that. And I actually haven't written these down, so I'm just going to be winging it. Golden Boot, I think it will be Mohamed Salah. No, it'll be Harry Kane Golden Boot. Harry Kane win the Golden Boot. Player of the year, I think it'll be... Player of the year will be... I'm going to go with Bernardo Silva, player of the year. I feel like he'll take that step. He'll take that step and be the player. But also, I couldn't see it. I can see Salah or De Bruyne winning it. Young player of the year, I think young player of the year is under 23. But I'll go with I'll go with a young. I'm not going to say Phil Foden because he's probably still eligible for it somehow. Young player of the year, I'm going to go... Let's go with... Young player of the year will be... I'm trying not to just feel this break while I think with just silence. Young player of the year will be... I cannot think at all. Let's just go with Bukayo Saka will be young player of the year. Signing of the season, probably going to be Haaland or Nunes, but I could see it being someone like a Skamaka. I could see it being someone like a Kamare for Villa. I could really see it being someone like a Rocker for Leeds, or even an Aronson. I'll go signing of the season. I'll go with. Why not? I'm going to go with Raheem Sterling signing of the season. I'll back Chelsea in for once. Biggest flop, take your pick. I mean, it would be very on brand for me to say Gabriel Jesus to be the biggest flop, but I don't think it will happen. I think the biggest flop will be... I mean, it's harsh. Let's not do that. First, and I feel like I should. I've said it now. Biggest flop rather will be biggest flop will be once again stalling. So this podcast isn't just filled with awkward silences. Biggest flop. I'm just trying to think about the signings. I've actually got all the signings written down on my run sheet, so why don't I just look at it? Biggest flop will be. Jesus Christ. I'm looking here. I rate everyone's signings, but... Alright, let's just go with someone from United, because it'll probably be them. Let's go with... it's probably not, because I rate United... Everyone's done good business. Let's just say Jesus, just because it'll be funny. I don't think it will be, but I'm just going to say biggest flop will be Jesus. And first manager sacked will be... Marco Silva. Yes. First manager sacked will be Marco Silva from Fulham. Probably by... If I get this right in terms of date, I think Marco Silva will be the first manager sacked, and it will be on December... No, it won't be December. That's the World Cup. I reckon it'll be November 3rd. Marco Silva sacked. First manager gone. All right. That is enough for this podcast. I've spoken for a tick over an hour. Thank you all very much. Am I done? Or... I've just thought of I should probably do predictions for other leagues as well. Okay, let's just do quick top 4 predictions for other leagues, because I feel like it would be it'd be just so biased to me, wouldn't it, if I just did Premier League. Let's go with Bundesliga. I think, Jesus Christ, I mean, Bayern's going to win. Dortmund finish second, sure. Dortmund are finishing second. Let's just say Leipzig are finishing third, just because... let's be honest, who else is going to be? Bayern going to win the league, no doubt. Dortmund second, Leipzig third. And let's just go with... Can Union Berlin continue the form? I don't know what their signings have been like. Let's go, why not? Let's go Union Berlin fourth. Finished fifth last year, but yeah, let's go them fourth. Serie A, this is going to be very interesting, because this is going to be very competitive, I think. I think AC Milan are going to win it. I think AC Milan are going to win it again. We'll go Milan top. Actually, no. Milan top, Napoli second, Juventus third, Inter Milan fourth. I think it'll be the same top 4, just rotated. I know Napoli have taken a big hit in terms of signings, but I've got a mate that supports Napoli, so I want them to do well. And then in La Liga, let's just go with Real Madrid win the league. It will be Real Madrid, Barca, Atletico, and Sevilla. Sure. And then France, who gives a shit about France? All right. Thank you all very much for watching. I appreciate you sticking around. If you have, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe on YouTube as well. Click the notification bell. It would be majorly appreciated. What else is there? Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Give us the 5 stars. It really helps the podcast out a lot. I would be eternally grateful if you just gave it any sort of support. Follow it on all the socials, TikTok, Instagram, at 2 Footed Tackle Podcast, on Twitter, TFTPod. Thank you all very much for watching. We'll be back next week reviewing the first match week of the Premier League. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm going to watch fucking all the games. It's going to be great. Thank you all very much for watching. I appreciate you sticking around. See you guys next time, and goodbye.